Thanks on your favorite breakfast show on television, The Morning Rave. It's the book review segment, and this morning we will be reviewing a book that was written to catalyze your growth and productivity, whether you're starting a business, leading a family, or you're just championing a cause. My name is Adefunke Jaisimi, and this morning, this beautiful Wednesday morning, I have in the studio with me the world-famous Bright UK. Hello, Bright. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
You know, that word famous came from, I've been seeing your quote. I see your quotes everywhere, and I've been like, oh, who is this Bright UK? You know, first it was like it was a title. The UK looked like a title. So what does UK mean?
Well, UK is shortened Waiter.
Oh.
Waiter is my full name, right?
Oh, okay.
And people ask me why I had to shorten my name. Am I just trying to anglicize it? And I say, not really. Number one, it helps me to generate conversations, right? It's a good answer. And then on the other hand, it also helps me to reduce the confusion and the stress that people go through to pronounce it.
Your name. Okay, so let me quickly tell you people more about UK, right? He is a speaker and leadership development expert known for inspiring profitable and sustainable change through ideological shift. And that's the person of Bright UK. I know that ideological shifts are very important at this age and time. And when it comes to leadership, we see a lot of definition. And going through your book, your definition of leadership is totally out of what we are used to. So who is a leader to you, and or who should a leader be? The attributes, the qualities, everything, just share with us. Who do you see as a leader?
Well, I have a personal definition of leadership that's not quite popular out there. But of course, it's still the essence of what people still talk about. For me, a leader is someone who is becoming and helping others to become. In other words, leadership is becoming who you are made to be so that you can inspire and help others to become who they also are made to be. When you do certain things, you become certain things. You know, people look at your life and they say, if you can, then I can. They are inspired, all right? And then when they come to you and say, could you help me, you lend a hand to them. Of course, while you keep moving, people watch you and they are making progress also. That's what leadership basically is all about.
But there's a definition that also said that the very essence of leadership is that you must have a vision. Are you saying that a vision is not enough to be a leader?
Well, when we talk about having a vision, vision means you are able to see a picture of a better future.
Right.
All right? And that means when you see that picture of the better future, you are taking steps towards that future. Then, as you take your steps towards the future, other people behind you can also see you and take steps also forward. That basically is what leadership is about.
So, vision and leadership.
Yeah, it's all encompassing. I don't have to mention all the attributes of a leader within the definition of leadership, right? But the essence remains the same. You're taking steps forward, other people can see you from behind and then decide to take steps also forward based on the inspiration that they draw from your life.
Oh, okay, so the book, Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I have read some things about it because I actually needed to find out if I actually have my sixth sense working
Activated.
properly. Yes. But Can you explain to us in a layman language, in a language more relatable to any kind of person, what does the word sixth sense mean?
Well, sixth sense means living by your higher senses, beyond just, intuition, beyond just your five senses of sight, hearing, feeling, perceiving, and taste, all right? But basically, when I wrote this book, as a student of the wise King Solomon, who said, the labor of the
I think I like that.
wearieth them, because they do not know how to go to the city. I see something very important there. When it talks about the labor of fools, it means people who are working and not getting the kind of results that they want. In other words, they are underperforming. And he says, it wearies them because they are not able to go to the city. And the city is that place where it's a center of excellence, a center where the place where your value is appreciated, all right? Where what you bring to table is well appreciated. For example, I ask people, if someone was to be working as a teacher, secondary school teacher,
in Adamawa State, can the person earn 5 million naira? Can he make 5 million naira from his craft? All right? Or how easy would that be? Maybe no. All right? In a month or even in a year, it's going to be quite difficult. But can you make that in Lagos? Well, you can. All right? Because Lagos here is a center where your value can be appreciated depending on how you're able to dispense it. All right? So that's basically it. And for you to come to that point where you're able to achieve this, you need what Jesus told Nicodemus. He says you need to be born again. Jesus was getting a lot of results, maximum results, from selling living bread and living water. All right? And Nicodemus came to him and said, wow, you're getting these results. I think God is with you. And he says, except a man be born again, he cannot see. Being born again here means you have a change in your thinking that transposes you from where you are to where you ought to be.
Like renewing of your mind?
Like renewing of your mindset. That's why I talk about mind shift, ideological shift. It's very much important. For many people, the gap between their potential and performance is a gap in their mindset, a gap in knowledge.
But talking about Adamawa and Lagos, with that comparison, yes. I want to disagree with you because sometimes I feel like you have endless possibilities you can explore,
oh, yes.
and regardless of the environment you are in. And you will also agree with me that location does not really reduce what you can achieve, but sometimes the society we live in now, finance plays a big role in whatever you achieve at the end of the day. Because speaking about Adamawa, Adamawa has the American University owned by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah.
And a teacher in that school can actually put together 5 million naira in 1 year. If you have your...
Did you say university?
Yes.
I said a secondary school.
They should have a staff school.
I said a secondary school. I said primary school. So yes, I understand that.
No, but really, because what I was trying to say
can
is...
achieve that. I'm not trying to dispute that. It's possible. What I said, what's the ease? All right, the ease with which you're going to achieve certain things will be quite difficult. The numbers too might not be the same.
Yes,
the numbers, I mean, in Lagos here, it will be easier. So that's what I'm talking about. But on the other hand, it's important to understand that going to the city does not necessarily mean making a physical trip. Most times, it's a mental trip.
Okay.
All right, I just gave that as a, just a very, very simple example. But I don't want us to think simplistically about it. It's a mental trip. If you have products that you're selling and you have someone else who is selling the same product, but the person is getting more result than you are, that person has a key to a city that you have not yet discovered. If a person is getting certain platforms that you are not yet getting, that person has a city to a key to a city that you are yet to discover. You will need to close the gap in your knowledge for you to close the gap between potential and performance.
Oh, okay, so let me quickly take you back to the book. The book examines key leadership concepts that are required for growth and living an impactful life.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
What advice do you have for aspiring leaders who have had access to too many resources? I say too many resources because we are in a age where people know that they have potentials, they believe in themselves, but it looks like you need a certain level of validation to actually have that feeling of, okay, I can actually do this and I am here at this time. I remember when I left university then, it was a big deal for me to attend Feladuro Toye's class, Toye Akeredolu's conferences back then, because you want to hear things that want to push you and challenge you. And I think one of the problems we have with this age is the fact that we have access to too many resources, and most of the time, we still don't get it right. So what advice do you give to people in that category?
Before we go on, I just want to clarify something. Do you really believe that a lot of people believe in themselves?
A lot of people do not believe in themselves. Okay. A lot of people seek validation in other people. Okay,
because you mentioned earlier that a lot of people believe in themselves. And in the very interesting fact is that the gap from I can't to I can is a very wide gap for many people. Yeah.
Okay, break it down.
Until they are able to close the gap between I can't to I can, it's going to be quite difficult for them to attempt great things. And that's why I often tell people, right, that we do not act based on how educated we are. We act based on our level of self-esteem, of who we think we are.
We are.
Yeah. And that's why it's possible for someone who was not educated to still become prosperous in life and then probably return back to school to educate themselves. And yet you find people who are very educated making terrible decisions. All right? So a lot of times people need to close the gap between I can't and I can, or right? And work on their personal sense of esteem, work on their sense of security. When that is in place, they can lead better. They can learn to count on people without depending on them. They can learn to influence people without controlling them. They can learn to say no without despising people. They can learn to, that's leadership. It's a paradox, right? It's a paradox. When you have to lead, it's quite a paradox, all right? But you need to strike that balance. Wisdom is the ability to achieve justice and balance, all right? When you can strike a balance, yeah, you can lead better.
Speaking about the self-esteem, and
yes,
you would also agree with me that self-awareness is key.
Yes, it is.
Even before you want to know whether you have a good self-esteem or a bad one, you really need to be aware of who you are. And you also spoke about moving from I can't to I can. Can you help us with some of the tips, like what are the things you can do? And sometimes you might have even moved from I can't to I can, and you might not know. So what are the steps? Yes, sometimes you might not know, because for me, I want to do a lot of things, but I still want to get feedbacks. For some people, they believe that feedbacks are good, but sometimes when you are getting feedback from someone that has sentiments, you might not be too sure of the kind of feedbacks you are getting. So how do you know within yourself? Because sometimes you want to do things and you might be overdoing things, and a lot of people see you as being overzealous. So when you move, how do you move from that phase of I can't to I can? And where you are at the new phase, how do you know that I can actually be this and I can take it a step further to put myself out there?
For you to move from I can to I can, you have to examine your mental barriers, all right? And then you have to learn to even look at life from an objective point of view, not a subjective point of view. A lot of people have backlog of issues, right? When you meet a person, that person's face is not a summary of all that he represents, all right? They might look handsome, they might look beautiful, they might appear even confident, but that's not all that is about them, all right? You want to examine some of the things that has happened in the past and deal with them. Some of the times when people made mistakes and they were over-criticized, all right? It made some of them feel, oh, okay, maybe this is not for me. Success is not for me. Some of the times like that when people, we are not able to deal with their experiences well. So, for example, they have an experience and they did not interpret that experience correctly. They say experience is the best teacher, forgetting that it is not experience that is the best teacher, but a well-evaluated and a well-interpreted experience. Sometimes, that's why it strikes us deep when someone comes with a positive view of an experience we have always seen in a negative light. It's part of what it means to be born again, right? To change your perspectives, to change your mindset. So some of the times we have to ask ourselves, why exactly do I think that I can't achieve this? And begin to deal with, because by the time we begin to give answers, certain things begin to pop up. Sometimes you need to even have a session with a coach, like myself.
Okay, thank you in interesting responses so far. How can we follow you on social media?
Oh, I'm on IG at bright.uk. On Facebook, I have a page. It's called Bright UK. On LinkedIn, Bright Ukwenga. Majorly those are the platforms that I operate on.
Okay, so just 1 minute or 30 seconds. Where can we get the Sixth Sense Leadership book, and who should read that book too?
Okay, the Sixth Sense Leadership book, you can check, I have a website, right?
Okay.
www.wealthwithoutcapital.com. You can check our website, and then you get a copy of the book. Just send us a mail also.
All right. It's been an interesting conversation with the intelligent, smart author, Bright Ukwenga. I like to call people that
by the full name. It's fine. It's just that the Bright UK is a memory brand. It's a memorable brand. So
that is totally fine too.
Yeah,
That's all we can take on the Bill Preview segment of the Morning Rave this morning. We'll be going back to talk about talk about things that we have in the news this morning by reviewing the newspaper front pages. Stay with us as we take you through the newspaper.